Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the last two lectures of Common Sense Economics. This is part 4, 11 and 12. Today, 11 is all about risk management. What you can do to make sure that you're reducing the risk you have. And we're going to kind of focus on housing a little bit today. Okay, so here's the deal. When it comes to anything in life, and you may have heard this before, when it comes to anything in life, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, right? You were probably able to finish that saying on your own. Yeah. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That Nigerian prince that you got an email from saying that if you just wire him, all of your bank account, that you'll be able to get $1 million back from him when he's able to do whatever he needs to do. Right? No. Sounds too good to be true. Okay, it probably is. So do what you can to put yourself in a situation where you know when things are looking fraudulent and you can avoid them. Yeah. Put yourself in a position where you don't have to rely on the good things that others are saying they can do for you. Instead, put yourself in a position where you can do good things yourself, right? Because then you'll know that it's not too good to be true because you put yourself through a reality where the benefits that you're reaping are coming from the actions that you undertook yourself. Okay, there's this great Wolf of Wall Street video that I will play in class, but I'm not going to play it for the live stream that you can watch. And this video is him talking with some person saying, hey, if you invest, pennies on the dollar, sir, this investment will turn into, $60,000, as you can see, right? He's saying, these penny stocks, if you buy $6,000 worth, they'll turn into $60,000. Well, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is, right? But instead, if you follow all the advice that we talked about with investing previously in this class, that's how you're really going to be able to multiply your portfolio that you have money invested in, okay? So, as we start getting into this discussion on housing, we have to realize that most of the time when you're buying a house, very few transactions occur between just the buyer and seller. We have a third party. We have what's called a real estate agent, right? And the whole point of a real estate agent is that, and it's from kind of an archaic time where we didn't have the internet, but imagine back in the day how hard it was to find out what places were for sale. You'd have to drive around town. But thankfully, there was a person that specialized in this, and they were a real estate agent. And you would essentially go to the real estate agency, and you say, "Hey, I want to buy a house in this area. Here's my budget for the house. This is what I'm looking at." And they say, "Oh yeah, well we know all these places that are listing their houses, so let's go ahead and take you around to those, and I'll show you them. I've talked with the owners. I got keys. I can let you in and have you take a look around." And that was the purpose of a real estate agent. And of course, you're imagining they're not doing this for free, right? So they do get a fee. Matter of fact, I think it's about 6% is considered the normal fee that real estate agents will charge. So they have like this 6% commission that they get, right? So if they sell a house, you pay 6% to your real estate agent to help you find the house. The person that's selling the house, of course, if you're selling a house, you don't know exactly who wants to buy it either, right? So if you want to sell a house, you'll go to a real estate agent and say, "Hey, I want to sell my house. Can you help me do that? Can you help me get some customers?" So they'll have to pay 6% as well. Okay, so this you can see how the idea of a real estate agent comes into play. Thankfully, with things like what's that? It's not Zippia. There is a website that you can look at houses on. I can't for the life of me remember what it is right now. Of course, you guys can imagine it's the internet. Of course, there's a thing like that. It exists. But for now, real estate agents still exist. I know some real estate agents are actually very upset that website and websites like it exist. Zillow, that Zillow exists, and I think that some of them are actually lobbying to make it so that Zillow can't be as effective as it is, because of course just like how oh gosh, I'm having such a hard. It's clearly a Monday, folks. In the same way that the internet made travel agents a thing in the past, we can almost see the internet is making real estate agents a thing in the past, which is good for us, right? It saves us money. We don't have to hire that third person anymore. Instead, we have a piece of software that is acting as our third party, our middleman that's connecting us. But middlemen, nonetheless, are important. They reduce transaction costs, so we can see why people hire real estate agents despite them having to pay a little bit more, okay? Because ideally, they help you get the best offer for your house, and they help you find the best house for you, okay? That said, though, are their incentives aligned with yours? Because a lot of people say because they get a 6% commission, that means the more you get for your house, the more that they get, right? So they want to sell your house for the most they can, right? Right? Well, let's see what the authors of Freakonomics have to say. Freakonomics is a great book. They made this movie afterwards. And whoopsies. And they point out what's called the principal agent problem. And this is a problem that exists in a lot of things. You could be looking at a CEO leading a company where they are the agent, whereas the principal, they're the person that actually, I guess, has to live with the repercussions of the action. Okay, just have a listen.
I want to sell my home. I put it on the market for $300,000. I get an offer today for $290,000. The question is, if I could wait a week and get an offer for the full $300,000, would I rather wait that week and get the full price, or take the offer today for $290,000?
You want to take it now. I'll be the real estate agent. I'm telling you, you want to take it right now, because a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, and the market is really starting to soften up. And these things, you just can never tell. And if you have a good offer, I really think it's the right thing to take it. And I'm not speaking out of self-interest here, because I'm just a real estate agent, and our interests are aligned, because I'm getting a commission of your sale. So
See, that's what people say,
as
right?
much as you can for this house. I really do.
When you think about the incentives that the current contract set up between the home seller and the agent representing them, they're not well aligned. But can you ever prove that?
Interestingly, if you look at the sales data on real estate agents' own homes, not their clients' homes, but when they sell their own homes, they get more money than if they sold the same home for a client. Now, why would that be? Well, what we find in the data is that agents hold out for a better price and leave their own homes on the market longer, an average of 10 days longer. But when it comes to your house, well, the agent has an incentive to sell right away.
Why? Because of that $10,000 into his or her pocket, only $150.
I only get
will go.
$150. Because if you take that $10,000 extra dollars, it goes to him. 6% goes to commission, but that...
So this 10% extra dollars they're talking about, this is from them going from the price of $290,000 to $300,000. Okay, so waiting out to get that $10,000 extra dollars, this is how much you're getting, but how much are they getting, right?
gets whacked up. Half goes to the buyer's real estate agent, so I've got half of that 6%, but then I have to kick back half of that to my agency. So I only get 1.5%. So really, in order for me to help him get $10,000 extra dollars, I personally only get $150. But I have to work for an extra week, I have to buy all the marketing, I could be off with another client trying to get a whole commission on another house. So I have a strong incentive to say to him, this is a great offer. It's the best offer you're ever gonna get. I really think you should take it.
So no matter what the real estate agent says, I would rather wait a week and pick up the extra $10,000. The agent wouldn't.
It's not that real estate agents are bad, it's just that they're human beings, and human beings respond to
incentives.
If there's only one element that I say is there in almost everything we do, it's the idea that incentives matter, and if you can figure out what people's incentives are, you have a good chance of guessing how they're going to behave.
So that is the principal agent problem. So as we talk about houses, I want to focus on this just because it's a cool idea to look at as far as incentives are concerned. But it also introduces us to this idea of commissions, a cost that you have to pay when you buy and sell a house, right? Because portion of a portion of the amount that you would get when you're selling a house, a portion of it goes to the agent. Of course, when you're buying the house. When you're buying the house, not all of your money goes to buying the house. Some of that money is commission going to a real estate agent. Okay. So it's very costly to buy and sell real estate. Okay. So make sure, folks, that when it comes to buying real estate, that you're not just treating it like you're buying a candy bar. Okay. When you're buying a candy bar, you can buy it whenever you want, right? Let's think that's something you can actually buy and sell. I mean, for me, it'd be something like a video game, right? Or magic cards, yeah? Whenever I buy those, I can buy them and I can sell them relatively easily. Right? Relatively easily, I can buy and sell, yeah? But with housing, I could do that, but I would be losing my value that I've put into purchasing that house very quickly, yeah? Because look at it this way. If I'm buying a $100,000 house, 6% of that $100,000 that I'm paying isn't going to buying the house. It's actually going to a realtor. Okay? And when I sell my house, say for $100,000, next week I want to sell it. Well, of that $100,000 that I'm getting, 6% of it is going to a realtor. So, all said and done, I bought the house, I sold it next week, and I'm down $6,000. That is no fun. So you can see why when you're buying and selling real estate very quickly that it leaves you less wealthy than you were. However, if you buy real estate, you let it appreciate as real estate does. And you let your house appreciate in value because, of course, as more people are moving into your, assuming, right, and real estate really only, appreciates in value if your area is becoming more popular, more people are moving to it, right? Because as more people move in, there's still the same amount of land, okay? So as more people are moving in, your house will appreciate in value. And then if you decide you want to resell, then your house is appreciated enough to the point that you will be able to recoup the loss and having to pay a real estate agent again. Okay? So be very, very careful when you're buying and selling property. Okay? Because if you do it too quickly, you'll find that you're actually losing money. Another thing you have to think about is a lot of people buy houses and they make themselves house poor. They have a house, but to what extent? Does it even matter? Are they really going to be put ahead? Because if something happens and you have no money, well, you have a house, but now you have a pipe leaking, and now you're going to have to go into debt in order to fix it so that your whole entire house doesn't lose all of its value. So make sure that you still have, you're not breaking the budget to put a down payment on your house, and it's very, very important to put a big down payment on your house, right? You want to shoot for the highest you can, right? 20%, okay? To put money down on a house, because, of course, the more you put down, the less you have to borrow, yeah? But you don't want to put down, spend too much time thinking, oh man, I finally have enough for a down payment, let's go buy a house right now. No, because then you put all that money down for a down payment on a house, and now you have no emergency budget. So if an emergency happens, you're screwed. Okay, so make sure you have the money to make those repairs when you need to. Make sure that because you're the person that owns a house now, you got to buy all the tools to make the repairs. Guys, the least fun thing for me is like, oh man, I got to get up on the roof and do something. I got to go buy a ladder now. Oh man. I'm probably really annoying my father-in-law by asking for the drill all the time. I guess I should go and buy my own. Spoiler alert, if you keep asking for it, they'll give it to you as a birthday present. Anyways, you'll have to buy the tools to do the things around the house, okay? And not just things, within the house, but also, I guess, literally around the house, on the lawn, yeah? If you buy a house, that means you also have to buy a lawnmower, you gotta buy rakes, you gotta buy snow shovels, okay? And if you want to be bougie, you can get a snow blower, you can get a leaf blower, yeah? You have to do all of the things that if you were renting, the person that is renting you the apartment, they would do that, okay? So also think, well, shoot, if you aren't a person that wants to do those things, maybe you're better off renting, right? Maybe find a house that you can rent. If you're fine living with neighbors nearby you, like I did for pretty much all my time growing up, I liked having neighbors in apartments. I was fine. I was fine that that's where me and my mom lived, right? If you're fine with that, I know a lot of people here in the Midwest aren't because there's a lot of space. But if you're fine with that, go for it. You can save yourself a lot of time having to do the things like leaves and sidewalks and making repairs. Instead, you just have the landlord hire somebody to do it, right? And you don't have to hire somebody to do it because all you do is pay the rent each month, okay? To be fair, guys, owning a home is very, very overrated, I gotta say. Owning a home is very overrated because you have to put a lot of time and a lot of money into owning that home. And of course, guys, I gotta say, if you don't want to be the person, like if I don't want to be mowing my lawn and taking care of my lawn, I mean, I say taking care of my lawn with an asterisk because as much as I take care of it, it does not look that good. I'm gonna have to hire somebody. As much as I do things around the house to make sure it looks nice and do the repairs and all that jazz, if I didn't want to, I'd still have to pay somebody to do that. Yeah. So it's either time or it's money that's gonna cost you. Okay? And even if you're doing it yourself, it's still going to cost you your time and your money because you got to get the tools. Okay? And again, friendly reminders that some of the money that you get when you sell your house, not all of it's going to you, right? So you'll end up less off. And another thing we haven't talked about yet, but there's also a whole bunch of fees and regulations that you have to go through when you're buying a house that's going to cost you even more money. Okay? So because of those what we call closing costs on a home, makes it even more expensive to buy and sell property, okay? So make sure that when you're making this decision to buy housing, if you're making that decision, that you're not making it lightly, okay? It's not just buying and selling a normal good, okay? It's much more important. Okay, so Handle the decision with care. Welcome, Darth. I will say, though, Darth brings up a good point. Just because you live in a rental property does not mean that you are absolved of any responsibility, right? You have to put a deposit down, right, on a rental property, meaning that, you know, if you leave it in a horrible, horrible shape where they have to make repairs by the time that you leave, you're going to lose that deposit, yeah? So you still have to take care of it, okay? But not to the extent that a person that owns a home would have to take care of it. And they also bring up over there in the UK, you have to hire somebody, as the tenant, you have to hire somebody to clean. I think over here in the States, the person that owns a rental property, they'll do that anyways, right? Because they don't want, you know, the tenants don't want to move in and be like, oh, Weaver lived here. Ugh. Okay. So, you know, we said this, I guess, section was about, you know, taking steps to reduce risk. One of the things you can do to reduce risks, I guess, you know, one of my favorite, I guess, not sayings, but kind of ideas for life is, you know, a lot of life is luck, but you can do a great deal to make sure that you're rolling like a dice with 4 sides instead of a dice with 20 sides, right? Put yourself in a place where you're lucky, and make sure you're not putting yourself in places where you're unlucky, yeah? So essentially what I'm saying here, folks, is there are a whole bunch of tips in the book in section 4.11 that are great when it comes to making sure that you're not putting yourself in a bad place. Again, if it looks too good to be true, it is. You guys, again, can finish that sentence on your own, right? If I say it looks too good to be true, you say, oh, yeah, it probably is, yeah. Okay. Another thing, when it comes to buying and selling from individuals, only deal with those that have a reputation to protect, right? You know, if you're looking on Amazon and you find a really great deal on an item, you're like, wow, $20 for this thing that costs $60, but they have no reviews. If it looks too good to be true, probably is. Yeah. When it comes to buying and selling cars, if you don't trust the person that you're buying a used car from, don't buy from them. Okay. That's one of the reasons why car dealerships make so much, you know, sell all the cars they do, because it'd be much cheaper if we could just buy and sell cars to one another. Another reason why, you know, we use them is because they're a middleman, and that's amazing because it reduces transaction costs for us, right? They're just a person I know will take my car, and I know they have cars that I want. But it's also because they have a reputation to protect. No car dealership wants to be known as the guys that sell lemons. Okay, a lemon is a car that drives, you know, good enough, but is actually very, very bad under the hood. Okay. Another thing is that, you know, you don't want to be buying and selling, going back to that reputation, you know, if it's happening over the phone or over email. Yeah, again, if it sounds too good to be true, probably is. That one's probably for the boomers more, because you guys are just memeing on the internet now. Don't allow yourself to be forced into a quick decision. A lot of times, people in sales positions, they will use expediency to help you rush a decision. Okay, if the decision has to be rushed, it's not worth making. Okay. Because, of course, folks, the only way that you're going to be able to put great thought into whether or not you should do something and what you should do if you have decided that you should do something, it's going to come with time, right? Always sleep on it if you can. Yeah, always sleep on it if you can. Don't be forced to make a quick decision, okay? Another thing is don't allow friendship to influence an investment decision. I would say don't allow friendship to affect any of your, finances. And I'd say that not so that you should, give money to friends. What I am saying is if you're giving something to a friend, don't expect it back, right? Because the whole idea behind this, their tip here about not allowing friendship to influence investment decisions, your finances are your finances. They are no one else's responsibility, okay? If you invest in a friend's business and it turned out to be a bad idea, you should have been investing in it not as if you were trying to be a good friend, but if you were trying to be a good investor. That's how you should have been trying to invest, okay? If you're giving a friend money because you want to help them out, don't give it to them as a loan, okay? Do it because you're coming beside them and you actually want to see them get better, yeah? And if they get better and they are wanting to pay you back, take it, sure. Maybe save it for the next time they mess up if they do, okay? But, again, the next point is, if they're doing this, trying to put the pressure on you, to make a decision quickly, right? It's not worth it. Okay. If the product is good enough, right? If the investment idea is good enough for you to invest in, it doesn't require all the pressure. Okay. And another thing, a good point Darth brings up is, when you are investing, make sure that you have proof that you've invested. I've heard, you hear all these horror stories about people that go into business with another. Like maybe they're friends, they go into business, and then one of them takes the money and runs. Like that sucks, right? And I've heard of that happening where they didn't have any contract, where it was just, oh, my friend gave me money. What? Oh, we're gonna start a business? You don't have any proof, right? Yikes. Okay. And some of you, sadly have learned that Darth also says again, even just because they're your family, right? Just because they're your distant cousin, or sucks to say, but even siblings or your parents. I know a lot of people that have been screwed over by their parents. I mean, that's just because they're family doesn't mean that nothing bad can come from it. Okay. All right. So let's start talking about number 12. What the heck is insurance for? What are we insuring for? Why do we need insurance? Why don't we just pay for everything ourselves? Well, if you had $1 million, you probably could self-insure, right? You probably wouldn't need as much insurance, okay? At least not for all the things that I need insurance for, because there's some things that if they happen, I'm not going to be able to pay for them, okay? Not with my emergency budget, sadly, no. Okay? Some things when they happen, you are stuff out of luck, okay? So insurance, what is it? Well, it's a way of pooling risk, yeah? So let's say we had a whole pot of money. Okay. Now I have some money that I can throw into this pot, but if it's just me throwing money into this pot, I'm not going to have enough money to pay out for these huge events. Like if I get in a car crash, I'm not going to have enough money to pay out for that. But if I had a whole bunch of people that also have a small risk of this very, very life-changing experience, like a car crash happening, if they're all throwing in money, since with all of us, it's a very small percentage of it happening, the idea is with all of us paying in, we're going to be taking money from the pot at a lower rate than money is going into the pot, okay? So insurance lets me be able to have peace of mind and be able to afford something by paying monthly to an insurance company, be able to pay for getting my car repaired, or I guess I wouldn't be paying for it, the insurance company would be paying for it, right? Because they also have a bunch of other people that are paying in, okay? Which then tells you, it makes you kind of think, why is it that insurance companies charge different people different amounts? Why is it they charge you, a teenager, a great deal? Why do they charge you a whole bunch for insurance? Well, it's because you are more likely to withdraw from that pot of money, okay? So, folks, I got to tell you, if you are someone that wants to pay the least for insurance and still get the same amount, do what you can to make sure that you're the least riskiest person ever. Because, folks, what ends up happening a lot of times is because when people know they're insured, they're like, I'm paying $100 monthly. If I get in a car crash, it's all solved. It's all fine. I don't got to worry about it. Matter of fact, let's speed up a little bit. Skirt, skirt. We call this moral hazard, actually. Okay, and it happens when people take more risk because the negative consequence of being risky is lessened, right? So when it comes to that car example, I'm being a riskier driver because I know if I get in a car crash, someone's going to pay for it, right? Whereas if I wasn't insured, if I had to pay for it myself, I'm going to be the safest driver ever. I'm going to double cross each way, making sure that I'm good to go. Okay, I'm going to drive the speed limit. I'm going to drive, 44 miles per hour where it's 45. I'm going to drive 64 miles per hour where it's 65. Okay. Moral hazard also, just give you another example and relate it back to something else we talked about earlier in this class. When we go back to 2008, those people selling mortgages, those mortgage companies selling mortgages to people that could not pay it back, talk about moral hazard, right? Normally a bank doesn't do that because if they loan to someone who is a subprime borrower, they're not going to be able to pay that money back, so why would you give them money? It's a very bad business model to give someone money and not have them pay it back because they knew that they were going to take that agreement and sell it to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Yeah. So their incentive to make a good loan was lessened because they were just selling someone else, right? They talk about moral hazard, okay? Okay. So when do you use insurance? You want to use insurance when you know that, okay, over the course of my lifetime, this thing's probably going to happen, right? I'm probably going to get into a car crash. At some point, I'm going to need car insurance, right? At some point, something may happen to my house that I'll need house insurance, okay? Even if you're renting, you want to get rental insurance, right? If someone, breaks in or, if there's something, like if there's a fire in your apartment, you need to have rental insurance, okay? That's not included in the property insurance that your landlord has. You have to have your own rental insurance, okay, to cover all your stuff that's inside. You would not be able to pay for, right, out of your rainy day fund. Yeah, you need to have insurance to cover for that. Okay. For large events, you insure. Self events, you can, small events you can self insure, right? If one of my, shoot, if my phone breaks, I can just buy a new one. Yeah, I don't need to pay the $14 a week, not a week, a month to have the insurance for this thing. Okay, all the time when you're buying video game consoles or video games, like, hey, would you like to pay the $20 to have this insured? No, because if it breaks, shoot, I can just buy a new one for $40 more. I can just get a new one. I'm not gonna pay $20 to get it insured. Get out of here. Okay. So again, small losses, you can use your emergency fund for it. Okay, and I like to equate to this. When do you use your emergency fund versus using insurance? I like to think of it as, when you go into the emergency room, they're like, hey, now how big's your pain? How big's your pain? Or this little kid advice, like, how big is my problem? Is it an emergency? I need an adult. Gosh. Okay. How big is your problem? It's a big problem. Probably going to need to insure. Small problem, you can insure yourself if you have an emergency fund. Okay. Make sure that however big your emergency fund is, you need to be able to afford your insurance deductibles. Okay. Premium is how much you pay each month for insurance. Deductible is how much you have to pay yourself. Okay. So if you get into a car crash and it's $300, okay, your insurance company is not going to pay the $300. Okay, you have to pay up to a certain amount before your insurance company will start paying. Okay. So if your deductible is $250, you have to pay $250 before they're going to chip in for the rest. Okay, so if it was $1,000 and your deductible is $250, you'd pay $250 and the insurance company would pay $750. Woohoo! Yay! Okay. Make sure that you have enough to cover your deductibles, because just because you're insured doesn't mean you're off the hook. Okay, you're still going to have an emergency budget to pay for your deductibles. Okay, so make sure you have enough in your emergency fund to pay for those deductibles. Okay, so guys, as we finish up, the last portion of this book also talks about teaching those that come after you the importance of thinking and preparing for yourself, and knowing that you are responsible for you, and teaching others that come after you, right, your offspring, the importance of budgeting, and knowing that if you want to increase how much you're earning, you have to increase your productivity, and if you want to make sure that you're borrowing for good reasons, only borrow for transportation so you can get to your job, only borrow for housing if that's something that makes sense for you, and only borrow for education if it's going to help you earn more, not just because you want to go to school and have fun with your friends. Know that you are responsible for you, and teach others this. Okay, Stephen Covey writes a book. I think I have it behind me here. Yeah. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Okay, one of the habits is being proactive. Okay, meaning that you're the one that decides how your life is running. Okay, you are not a product of your circumstances. You are a product of your own decisions. Okay, guys, I am not going to say that your life is not just what you're doing. There are all sorts of things happening around you, but it is up to you to decide how you're going to respond. Okay, it is up to you to decide how you're going to respond. Okay, you get to be proactive. You can be reactive, okay, in the sense that you're always only responding. You can be proactive, where you make a plan. You say, man, my situation sucks. What can I do to become more productive, earn for myself a higher income, and get myself out of here? Okay, because folks, if you're upset because you're not earning enough, you're going into the same job that you dislike, and you're not seeing any improvement, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're going to keep getting the same results over and over and over again. You have to be proactive for yourself. And you want to get a higher income, you got to earn more. Okay? Yes. If you always find yourself having events happen from the outside world that are just knocking, oh my gosh, my car broke down, I didn't have money to pay for it. Put yourself in a position where maybe you have to eat rice and beans for a good, long, extended period of time, right? If you had an emergency fund, your car breaking down wouldn't hurt you as much. It'd be an inconvenience, don't get me wrong, but you'd have the money to pay for it. Yeah. So make sure that you're the one living your life. Otherwise, life is going to live it for you, and others are going to live your life for you. Okay. Keep doing what, there's this great quote by Stephen Covey. He says, one thing's for sure, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting what we are getting. one definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing and expect different results. Okay. And yes, Darth, the pandemic is a great example of how your life can be different if you're being proactive versus reactive, right? If you're being proactive and think, man, there's going to be an emergency coming up where I may not be able to work, so I need to save up money so that I'm fine for when I'm not able to work. As compared to being the person that's like, oh man, so shoot, I can't work now. Now I can't afford to pay the bills. Right? Well, if you had money saved up, you'd be good, right? And I realize it's not as easy for everyone to save up money. Okay, as you know, everyone else. Certainly, in my position as a teacher, as much as we talk about not making money, we are certainly above the nation's average when it comes to making an income, especially for how much we work. But I realize that not everyone can do that, but or at least not do it as easily as I can. But everyone can do it. I agree that it's going to take more work than me and my wife have to put in, but you guys are responsible for your own destiny. Okay, and that sounds daunting, but it's also very, very encouraging to know that you can change the world however you like to, because your world largely is going to be what surrounds you, and you're responsible for it. So get out there. Good luck in the world post high school, folks. Adios.